All right, cool. Got the notification, so I'm assuming that that's what you were saying. Uh, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Like I said, we're going to get started and to make sure we cover all of the new details. But before we do, the call will be recorded, and I would ask that you hold all of your questions until the end. You either put them in the chat or you can just ask them verbally at the end. So let me go ahead and move that there. So today I will be covering the outcome of the RFI that ended last week and speak to some of the questions we received, as well as a few other items I want to make sure are crystal clear ahead of this next round. Then Caleb will take us through the new map that has been live for a couple of weeks now and talk through all of the relevant information needed to navigate that map. He will then pass it off to Diane, who will speak to the changes you can expect to see in the new RFA dropping tomorrow. And then we will end with your questions if you have any. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin. And to start off, I'd like to thank everyone who submitted an RFI response. It helps us understand what likely needs further clarification and provides an understanding of where our approved applicants are coming from heading into this next round. You'll see that while we are following the same standard operating procedures or SOP as last time, and we're using that and we're utilizing the same definitions for terms, we are heavily focused on providing clarity as you navigate this next round. That considered, talking about the RFA, I want to outline our timeline for this round. As I said at the outset, we will open the request for applications tomorrow, or RFA, as you'll hear us refer to. That'll be June 25th, 2026, and then we will close on July 16th, 2026. You'll notice this is a bit of a longer period than we had this time last year, though we will have a similar process to last year's benefit of the bargain or Bob round. There will be some modifications to streamline the process both for our approved applicants and NBO, which Diane will get into later. One key point I do want to note is that we are awarding both BSLs and CAIs in this round, and I would encourage you to consider applying for CAIs if you are able to meet the programmatic requirements set by NTIA. Also, applications targeting every location in a DPA will receive priority consideration in this process. We will only be awarding locations that are included in our inventory. This is a deployment-focused endeavor, and until we receive guidance from the federal government, we will not be considering non-deployment proposals at this time. I also want to note that we will not be adding new locations, nor will be modifying existing signed awards. As always, our objective is to ensure that all homes across the state have access to quality, reliable, and high-speed broadband. Another point I want to make sure that is clear is the cost cap we have with this program. Based on analysis by NTIA, every state last year operated under a certain cost cap based on the unique characteristics of that state. I'm not aware of how NTIA reached that figure or our figure specifically. I just know that they indicated they will not approve projects whose per location cost is over $30,000, regardless of the technology. And it applies to both CAIs and BSLs. I will also note for your calculations that this is not inclusive of match. This is simply what you are requesting from the BEAD program. For example, if you add a 25% match to that figure, the total per location project cost would be $40K then, and your company would be providing $10K of that. We've also received no indication that NTIA will remove or increase the cap at this time. Two other items to call out quickly when discussing costs. First, insurance coverage is defined in the NB terms and conditions for non-LEO projects available on our website, must be maintained for the life of the subgrant, which will end upon project closeout. Second, we have recently received additional clarification from NTIA on match flexibility, and I will note that we have been informed that no match waivers will be approved for these projects, so a minimum 25% match is required. Oh, I'm gonna slide ahead here. Or I'm missing a slide. I'm missing a slide. That's okay. So the match flexibility that I'm referring to specifically is the ability to use existing plant under certain circumstances, and that's been outlined in FAQ, I think it's 22. So, sorry, I was a little bit ahead on my slides there. The last item I want to cover before I hand it over to Caleb is our tier structure for priority broadband project determination. Last July, NTA received or released FAQ 12 for states, and referring to the BEAD program. In this document, states were provided with 3 different variables to consider in reviewing whether or not an application meets the definition of a priority broadband project. Simply put, NTA provided states with significant leeway to determine how geography, density, and statewide capacity of an applicant informs this priority designation. Accordingly, NBO had examined the data and literature, and then also consulted with professional engineers to update our definition of a priority project last year. We remain consistent in this round with our definition of a priority broadband project from last year, which NTA did approve in our final proposal data. The full definitions will be available in the RFA and are also currently available on our map. However, I did want to speak plainly to how each tier is categorized so as to provide maximum clarity. Tier 1 projects are project areas that have been determined to be most conducive to fiber technologies through a combination of the above NTIA factors. And I also want to note on Tier 1 projects that these are in some cases those that contain CAIs, as CAIs required 1 gig by 1 gig to serve, which is much higher than the standard 100 by 20 for regular BSLs. That meant for us, if they contain CAIs, they're going to need to be Tier 1. The next tier, Tier 2 projects, are project areas that have been determined to be most conducive to fiber and fixed wireless technologies. And then Tier 3 projects are project areas that have been determined to be most conducive to all technologies. I would also like to state, like last time, I would encourage all applicants to apply for all DPAs they are interested in. If we do not receive an application that is considered to be most conducive to that tier, we will consider non-priority applications. I do also want to point out that we do have one high-cost area where match can be as low as 0%, and that if you apply for a project on tribal land, you will need approval from that tribe. So with that said, and our minor hiccup, I will now turn it over to Caleb to cover our 2026 DPA map and see these tiers in action. Caleb, please take it away.
Thank you, Patrick. Can you hear me okay? It looks like my video is a little choppy,
Yep.
so I'm worried about the audio.
Coming through loud and clear on my end.
Great. So I'm Caleb Prusanson, and I am NBO's Policy Research and Communications Analyst, and I coordinated and oversaw the creation of our defined project area map for this round. Like previous rounds, we created a defined project area map, or DPA map, to group the broadband serviceable locations, which you likely know as BSLs, available in this round. Our goal was to create DPAs that would receive multiple competitive applications. To achieve this, we considered the number of BSLs per DPA, the total number of DPAs, the average deployment cost across a DPA, location density, and DPA contiguousness. These variables and considerations informed the spatial analyses we conducted that underpinned our DPA design methodology. We are confident this is based on solid analytical work and achieves our goal of creating competitive DPAs. This DPA map is based on our NTIA approved final location inventory, which used version 6 of the FCC fabric. So for a quick summary of the map at a high level, there are a total of 36 DPAs that contain the 1,710 BSLs in this round. There are also the 176 community anchor institutions, or CAIs, mapped as square points, also available on the map this round. Looking at the map by tier, there are 18 Tier 1 DPAs, 17 Tier 2 DPAs, and a single Tier 3 DPA. Next slide, please. While we're on the topic of tiers, you can identify what tier a DPA is by selecting it on the map and referencing the pop-up box that opens. You can also identify the tier of a DPA visually on the map by the DPA's border. Tier 1 DPAs have a bold border, while Tier 2 DPAs and the single Tier 3 DPA do not have a bold border. The single Tier 3 DPA is most easily identified by its name, DPA Z1. Next slide, please. As you know, the map has been available on our website for some time now. Keep these things in mind to effectively navigate and use the map. Whenever you open the map, a splash screen will appear that contains additional information about the map, the DPAs, and defines the tiers. This splash screen appears every time you open the map, and this information is available elsewhere as well, so don't worry if you close it before reading it. On the right side of the screen and the map, you will see a button with 3 horizontal squares laid on top of each other. This is the map layers toggle. From here, you can hide or show different map layers, which will change what information is displayed on the map. Beneath the map layers button, you will see a button with a bulleted list on it. This is the legend toggle and allows you to open and close the map legend. Using the legend, you can see what the different CAI colors mean and a list of DPAs. The bold border of Tier 1 DPAs is visible on the legend as well. CAI color indicates the type of CAI. Purple CAI points are a BEAD community support organization, orange CAI points are a BEAD public safety entity, blue CAI points are a BEAD healthcare entity, and finally, green CAI points are a BEAD public housing organization. Unlike CAIs, the color of a DPA does not matter. This is just a way to distinguish adjacent DPAs from each other. Next slide, please. As I mentioned when discussing how you can identify the tier of a DPA, you can select or drill down on DPAs, BSLs, and CAIs by clicking them to open a pop-up box that contains the relevant information about them. For DPAs, this will include the DPA's name, its tier, and the total number of BSLs it contains. For BSLs, this will include its location ID, what DPA it is in, and the tier of that DPA. For CAIs, this will include the entity name and what type of CAI it is. Next slide, please. That is pretty much all there is to using and navigating the DPA map. But you should also keep these additional tips and resources in mind as well as you use the map to plan your applications. First, the map page of our website has helpful information about the map. This information is the same as the splash screen, though without the tier definitions, and can be used alongside the map, unlike the splash screen, which has to be closed in order to use and access the map. Second, as Redmond Patrick noted, there are 3 unique DPAs you should be aware of. Like the single Tier 3 DPA, these are most easily identifiable by their names. The first to be aware of is DPA HC1, which contains NTIA designated high-cost locations. Then there are also DPA TR1 and DPA TR2, which both contain locations on tribal lands. Because of these characteristics, these DPAs have unique considerations or requirements that you should familiarize yourself with if you are interested in applying for them. Finally, complete DPA, BSL, and CAI information is available for download on our website as an Excel file. This file contains a list of all BSLs, the DPA it is in, and what tier that DPA is. It also lists all CAIs and includes the entity name, the latitude and longitude of that CAI, and its location ID if it has one, because not all CAIs do. That concludes my overview and guide to the DPA map. Now I will give the floor to Dr. Diane Lowe, who will talk about the 2026 round RFA. Dr. Lowe, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. I assume you can hear me. Beautiful. I'm getting nods. Thank you. Will you go to the next slide? Okay, first and foremost, as always, questions, please send them to our grants inbox. This is going to continue throughout this new RFA period, so I wanted to make sure it was clear. We will answer all questions in writing as we did before, and we will also post those answers to our FAQs document on the website. There is one difference this time because we do have existing subgrantees, existing projects, and we're not going to stop those while we work on this RFA piece. So we will be able to continue the work and continue the conversations, the meetings, etc., about those existing projects, but our conversations will be limited to those existing projects. So that's just fair warning and heads up. Will you go to the next slide, please? For this round, we are doing only project applications. Eligibility to apply was established in 2025 with the 3 organizational application processes we went through with the original round, the Bob round, and the CAI round. So if you are on the list of approved applicants, which is on our website, then you are eligible to apply for under the 2026 RFA. If you are not on that list, you are not eligible to apply. Everyone who is invited to this meeting, I believe, is eligible to apply. To apply, you must request an authentication code. I know this was a concern that was brought up last year as we transitioned from one round to another. Instructions for requesting that are on page 3 of the RFA, which you will see tomorrow. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to send us an email to the grants inbox and give us some specific information, and we will email back to you an authentication code within 24 hours. So this is not a heavy piece, just want you to be aware of it. Next slide, please. The content of the RFA is similar to the Bob round last year, but it includes a little bit more than the Bob round because we received some feedback that we didn't collect quite enough in the Bob round. So it's not as heavy as it was in round 1, but it is a little heavier than the Bob round. So don't panic. We'll go through it here in just a sec. The first part of this is applicant information. Nothing here new for you. You're going to give us your UEI, you're going to give us your name, you're going to tell us the DPA you're targeting, that kind of stuff, your key contacts, etc. This time we are having, as part of the application process and in an effort to save time on the back end, part of the application will require sign off on the terms and conditions. There are versions posted on our website for both non-LEO projects and LEO projects. They're slightly different. We have integrated the insurance requirements into the terms and conditions documents, and you will have to sign off on those as part of your application. You can go, as I said, they're on the website. You can go look at them whenever you want to, but that is going to be a piece of it. Also, for those who are familiar, who are current subgrantees, you are familiar with the PFD, the Protecting from Default certification, which was part of the Department of Commerce General Terms and Conditions for the BEAD program, published in November of last year. This we have to collect, and this also kind of slowed things down on the back end. So we are going to collect this as part of the application. You can go and look at this again on our website. It is a single page. You download it. There's a template. You fill in your information and then upload it with your application. If you are a current subgrantee and you've already done this, you will need to do it again. However, the wording has been changed just slightly. The PFD you've already submitted covered projects that were awarded to that point. This one specifies it will cover projects awarded as a result of this RFA. So you're not overlapping there. You're not double dipping, double anything. So please look at those documents at your convenience. Let us know if you have questions on them. The second piece of the RFA content is certifications. For those who are already NBEAD subgrantees, you won't have to do these. You've already done them. These were certifications that were part of the PA process last year. Will you go to the next? Oh, and the certifications are nothing that you haven't seen. I mean, you're going to follow the law. You're going to, you have the financial capability to participate, that kind of stuff. Nothing new. The third piece of this is the DPA, BSL, and CAI table. We have merged these. There are 8 DPAs that include both BSLs and CAIs. So for those, you will see something like what's on your screen here, where you have the BSLs and the CAIs listed in the same table. And you will be able to complete your information, the required information out to the right there for each of those, or for, hopefully, for all of them, optimally, but for whatever you need to on this. There are also 146 standalone CAIs, as I believe was mentioned earlier. Those are in a separate table all their own. So these will be on the website. You will be able to go out and grab these and download these tomorrow morning. I don't know if they're there yet, but they'll be there tomorrow morning, I believe, and fill them out. And this will be submitted as part of your application as well. And there's, again, nothing new here. You're going to tell us your technology, your anticipated speeds, latency, the funds requested, the match offered, and your planned data deployment. That's about it. It's pretty straightforward. Next slide, please. Financials. Again, this is not new. We need to do the ILOC and the bond or performance bond piece that's required for everybody. We need budget and we need business plans. There are non-LEO and LEO versions of the budgets, the budget forms out on the website. So you will pick the correct one and you will fill that out and submit it for your project. We will need you to do the budget proportions, which is in the top right here. This is, again, this should not be new. This was in the Bob round and the CAI round last year, the proportion. So we'll need that, and we'll also need a line item budget for your project. I do need to note the reason the match is here. Excuse me. The match requirements are the same regardless of technology, and that includes LEOs. That's been clarified by NTIA. So we will need information about the source of the match in this level of detail. These items, this is what NTIA requires. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Again, this should not be shocking or new. It shouldn't be anything heavy or onerous. Next slide, please. Project details. This is kind of where we took Bob and added just a little bit to it. So again, not a heavy piece, but there will be a milestone schedule, and they are set up per technology. So we've got one for fiber, we've got one for fixed wireless, and we've got one for LEO. You will be able to download those again from our website. On the milestone schedule, you will work from a October 1st, 2026 start date and set your milestones accordingly, and then upload it with your project. We will have a description of the technology. Again, this is familiar from last time. We need a description of your low-cost service option, the preliminary design and diagram, because we realize you may not be able to get that pulled together this quickly, but we need something to start with. Resumes for key staff, and then your compliance with law. Again, none of this should be new. And I should be about done. Okay, scoring criteria. Largely the same as for Bob, and of course, we have to be compliant with the RP and the restructuring policy notice published last year. We did add, as Patrick mentioned earlier, applications targeting every location in a DPA will receive priority consideration. We'll look at those first. If we don't find one that we feel should be funded or can be funded, then we will look to those that target fewer than all BSLs. We will not have time to cure PAs. We're moving rather quickly under a short extension from NTIA to get this done. So we're not going to have time to cure PAs. So please be careful to answer all the questions, upload everything that we've asked for to the best of your ability with your application. We would love to fund everybody for everything. But next slide, please. Oh, good, and I am done. So I will toss it back to Patrick.
Thank you, Diane. Again, thank you guys all for joining us for this call. We'll now take any questions you guys have. If you have any questions after this call, as Diane said, I recommend emailing the grants team at the link on the screen, which is nbo.grants@nebraska.gov, not .com, .gov. As it was last year, we did the same thing. We will be entering into a quiet period once the RFA drops, so we can't really speak too much to the process extemporaneously. We are committed to pursuing transparency and competition in this round, and as a result, any questions we do get, if they are going to be benefit to the whole group, we will be posting those as part of an FAQ as we're able to answer them. Our goal there is to make sure every approved applicant has access to the same level of information. So with that, please feel free to begin asking any questions.
This is Pat. And I might have missed it, but did you say there's one DPA that didn't require a match? Did you identify what DPA that was?
Yeah. Yes. Great question, Pat. So the question around one DPA that doesn't require a match. So as last time, NTA has designated some high cost areas in which there is match flexibility down to 0%. And there is one of those in this round that we are posting for award that will be delineated specially from all the others as, Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's HC-1, correct?
It's just HC1.
It's just HC1. Okay, no dash. So HC1, so that just stands for high cost. We figured that'd be probably the clearest way of making sure that that's available. Similarly, the tribals are TR1, TR2. Any other questions? Is there anything in the chat I should probably ask? I'm guessing not. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, we will not hold you guys here for the whole hour as much as I'm sure you want to hang out with us. We'll give you back that roughly 30 minutes. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We really look forward to seeing as much participation as possible in this round. Again, our goal is to make sure that all of our locations are eventually find a home and eventually receive quality, high-speed broadband, and everyone, we fulfill the goals of the program at the end of the day with that. So, anywho, with that, I'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time.